Debt-Free Degree beloveds, y'all, I am here with someone who has become a dear friend. He and I met recently through a group coaching program that we're both a part of. And he and I were talking about Debt-Free Degree, and he said, oh, that sounds like, and he's going to share the topic with us. And so, Joe, welcome to the Debt-Free Degree Patreon community. And beloveds, y'all meet Joe de la Garza. So, Joe, tell us a little bit about you, first of all.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Joe de la Garza. I have a varied background. I am Hispanic. I grew up in Texas. I've been living here in California for, well, since I was 18. And I really love California, but I have family in Texas and I go visit all the time. And it has been wonderful meeting you, Elizabeth, to kind of talk about all these different concepts. And your topic of wanting to help people get through college with as little expense as possible is very dear to my heart, because if that were possible when I was around at college age, shall we say, I would have loved to have taken advantage of that and pick the brains of others that could give me tips on how to avoid debt. So I think that's where I'm coming from, and that our vibration resonates, and I would love to help. So my idea was to just offer one simple suggestion, which is used a lot in the Hispanic culture, and that was the concept of a padrino. A padrino is someone that is a patron, a sponsor. It's also a godfather, like in the Catholic religion, to be the adult second backup parent, shall we say,
Hey.
for the child, right? So they're held in high regard, and they have a mentorship kind of role as well. And they're really looked upon as somebody that you can count on to come in for you on a clutch, that you need some help. You can ask Padrino.
Uh,
And and so they do that. So I was involved with my church for many years, and I'm still involved, but I've taken more of a backseat, let others kind of take
mhm,
over.
mhm.
And I would invariably get asked by the kids for me to be their padrino.
Uh-huh.
So, during their communion ceremony. And so I have numerous
Wow.
children that I have as
Oh,
sons, goddaughters, and it's wonderful to see them going off to college
yes.
and following up with them if they got married or whatever, because obviously they were maybe 5, 6, 7, 9, whatever at the time. And now they're, 20, 30 years old, and they've
Mhm.
moved on because, this was a long process. And so I want to continue to support this. And so I created a way of me being able to support them by being their padrino,
Mm.
because I see it working in other things, in weddings, in birthday parties, in quinceañeras, in Hispanic culture. It's one of the things that we do as a community to provide the financial assistance or the support that the parents need to pull off a big event, or for the child to they go off to college, and what do they need and stuff like that. So we make ourselves available, and that's the concept that I wanted to introduce to you.
Yes, I love it, love it, love it, love it. So, again, in my southern pronunciation, Padrino, it's Padrino.
Yes,
Is that right?
padrino.
And so, so sort of the root word, or what is like an offshoot of the word, is both patron and padre, godfather, right?
Correct,
And
correct.
so how it's like a shepherd, like an over someone who sort of walks alongside. And the idea is that it's both mentorship, perhaps financial support, perhaps a firm, grab them by the shoulders, look them eye to eye. Look, do you really want to take $100,000 in debt to go to this
Right,
school versus
right.
whatever? So, okay. And and it's somebody. So in your experience, Joe, so my understanding in many cultures of faith is that a godfather or a godmother is chosen at birth, and they're chosen by the parents. But I heard you say many students, as they're going through communion, have asked me to be their padrino. So can you talk a little bit more about, I think that's beautiful that, you know, it's not the parents asking you to do it, it's the student asking you to come into their life, which is so powerful.
Right. And you're correct. So you can have both. You can have them at birth, and that is the traditional way for the backup parent from birth. And then because they may not choose to be religious, but if they do, then especially that first communion, once they start taking their catechism classes, they're asked to nominate a sponsor to be there for them to help them in their spiritual journey. And that is the other time that a padrino is called upon. But usually the child then selects that padrino because
Okay.
it's not the parent's choice, it's the child's choice. Because, I'm sure the parent would love their friend to be the padrino, but the child has no connection with that person.
Yes, yes.
So then they may be their neighbor who they're always hanging out with.
Yeah.
That could be a better person that they would relate to.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
so
Right.
both are correct.
Yeah. And I have some friends in the Jewish culture, and when I don't know about young ladies, but when young men turn 12, I think the Jewish culture puts like a group of 12 men around that person. And so that whole concept of we're interconnected. And a lot of people say, cyberbullying is so pervasive and we can't eradicate it. And I'm like, if you put 100 people around each child out there that's all saying you're wonderful, you're fabulous, you're great, I got your back, you've got this, yeah, you're going to stumble, it's okay, we got you. Then when cyberbullying comes in, it's like it bounces off. But like with DebtFreeDegree, they are surrounded by people who say, I have student loan debt. I have student loan debt. There was no other choice. There's no way to get a college degree without debt. And that's the message I'm trying to break through. And this concept of Padrino is absolutely phenomenal and has so many applications. And I just am so intrigued by it. How do you stay in touch with all of them? Like, is it like they reach out to you or you reach out to them, or it's texting, or y'all get together? What does that look like?
It's a variety. Obviously, I get invited to the major events, the graduation for sure, and birthdays, Christmas, things like that. And sometimes it's overwhelming because they move on, they're no longer in the city. So I stay friends with the adults, and then the adults give me the feedback. And then the kids, as some I get along with better, and some I don't. And that's fine. But at least they know that I'm there for them. I think that that's the easiest way for me. It may work differently for somebody else, but I stay in touch with the parent who then fills me in. And sometimes I get a call from the parent, I need you to talk to your godson or whatever, because he's misbehaving. He's having suicidal thoughts. And it's a heavy topic. But yes, then they don't want to hear from their parent, but they're more open to hearing it from me.
Yes.
And so you step in. And I also make it very clear to the parent that I'm not going to be a wallflower in terms of just standing by the side and not saying anything. I'm going to say something. If I think you're being a bad parent or you could make better decisions for this child, I will interject myself.
Wow.
And I've also gone one step further, which maybe I shouldn't do, but I've done it. And that was to simply tell the kids, if you're ever having a problem with your parent, and call me directly, and I'll be happy to just talk with you. You don't have to wait for the parent to call me. So they have my number, and they can call me directly. Many times they've called me, especially, and I don't want to name names, but especially if the parent is having terrible fights. The kids get scared. They don't know what to do. They know that I'm always there, not judging, and just call me, and then I'll go in. And the last thing the parent wants is for me to knock on their door and say, what's going on here? Junior just called me and he's afraid. So what do we need to do? And so, no judgment, because I've been there. And but it's nice to have somebody kind of like watching over as a referee kind of thing.
And also what that does is it empowers the student, because the student says, I'm having these feelings, and
Mhm,
they're really big feelings, and they got to
mhm,
go somewhere. And so I
mhm.
can call Joe. And then the parents are, they're so locked in this, this battle, that they're not really paying attention to how that battle is negatively impacting the child. And so when you come in, you just become like another focal point, but you're a focal point of love. You come in and you say, hello, parent, I love you. Hello, this person that parent's fighting with, I love you. And hello, student, I love you. And I love this family. And
That's
you
right.
usher in love. That's what you do.
Right. Because you know them, the adults, and you say, you're too critical, you're too lax.
Mm,
They feel
mm,
very comfortable with me. For example, they'll call me and they'll ask me to teach the child how to drive because I'm not going to be yelling at them like their parent will because they're so
yes,
used to hurry up and get up and you got to go to school and blah, blah, blah. So I'm more of a coming from a loving, neutral
yes,
standpoint and more patient with them. Plus, I don't get to see them every day. They don't get on my nerves. I give them back at the end of the day. So spending an hour or two with them is a pleasure for me,
yes,
whereas parent may have conflicting schedules, and it is a
yes,
little bit of a choice as to how they're going to treat their child because it may be getting away with something else.
yes.
The other thing I was going to say is in the Jewish culture, a lot of the gifts are monetary gifts.
Mm,
Same thing with Asian, they're monetary gifts. In the
mm.
Latino culture, they're more tangible gifts. So
Okay.
they're not necessarily always going to be about money. They're not that they don't, but that's one of the things that I've noticed about the Hispanic culture. So maybe in terms of when you're looking at this, is maybe who can sponsor me, who can be promoting me in essence. If you're in an Asian culture, it may have to do with money. Whereas in a Latino culture, it's more of a tangible thing, more specific item related, because I think we grew up in general, Hispanics, with a lot of corruption.
Mm.
And so they take the money and they have something called a mordida, which is to take a bite out of the apple. So
Okay.
if you give $1,000 in the old way, they would take maybe 50 for themselves for arranging it, kind of like their commission and stuff. So
Gotcha.
we're always afraid of that. That's why money is not always the best
Okay.
gift in our
Okay.
culture.
Okay. So, I'm sincerely asking. So I'm not trying to twist your words, but I'm sincerely asking. So a student that's heading to college, could they come to their Padrino? Would it be appropriate to say, not, I need $357 for my books this semester, but I need to buy 5 books for 4 classes plus some pens and paper. So it's
Correct.
tangible. Okay. Okay.
It both work in terms of the kid asking for a specific amount because again it's a tangible thing, so we
Yes.
know
Okay.
exactly where it's going and all that. Secondly, the parent can set up a page like on a bridal registry, baby shower registry, or
Okay.
something on Amazon. I think
Okay.
they have a gift registry that they can then say, okay, these are the items my kid needs for dorm or for the winter because they're going to, I don't know, Illinois for school, not Texas, where the weather's completely different.
Right. Okay.
Right. So something
Okay.
like that can also be set up. And coming from the parent, they know that it's been seriously thought out. It's not just a wish list.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you, as the Padrino, do you help them say, okay, sir, you are in California, and if you stay in state and go to the Cal State system, tuition is perhaps a little more affordable than University of California system
Right.
versus a school like Stanford, let's say, or a private school that's, maybe not academically elite like Stanford is, but a private school that's going to be 60K a year. Like, are those some conversations that you're having with your children, your godchildren, your babies?
Yeah, it can vary depending on the financial situation of the parent. Um, And so if they're not undecided, then I would probably, advocate for a middle of the road kind of approach, such as Cal State, because it's low cost while you figure out what it is that you want. If you want something specific, for example, one of my friends, his kid wants to be a computer programmer.
Mm.
And I know that Cal Poly is very good at that. If it's not one of the highest in the country, it's definitely the highest in the state. And his dad can afford it. And
Okay.
so, okay, so I'm okay with that. It makes total sense to me.
Mhm.
All I can do is, and he's a real estate buddy, friend of mine. I'm not the Padrino, but I did put in my 2 cents for this. And I said, you do that, I will manage this property that you have over here, which I know takes time away from you, so that you can spend it with your child.
Wow. Joe,
That's
that's
my contribution.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
that's all I can
beautiful.
do, but it's important to me.
Yes.
The kid will never see it. It doesn't matter to me that,
Yeah.
but it does matter that he does get the attention he needs to be able to
Yes.
carry it all the way through with the support from his dad. And he's
Yes.
a single dad, so I'm really, it's
Yes.
important to me that he succeed. Yeah.
Yes. So, are, like in your experience, Joe, is this this concept of Padrino, is it pervasive in the Hispanic community? Is it limited to Hispanic, like the Venn diagram of Hispanic and faith-based?
Okay. It's probably community more so than faith.
Okay.
So a small town will probably be more openly acceptable to that, whereas a big city won't. Um, a big town, a big city rather, will have parents flying in from all over the state, to be able to wish them the best at high school graduation or whatever and send them off to college. So they may not be as involved. Whereas a small town, everybody knows each other. They're pretty much in agreement. If you're going to go to this local college here, we know all the expenses, all the issues that typically come up. It may even suggest, things like carpooling with the other guy that, your classmate, because, save on the driving time and
Yes.
expense.
Yeah.
So I think it varies a little bit there.
Yeah.
So to me, it's more community than it
Okay.
is cultural per se.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, debt-free degree beloveds, as you can see, Joe and I have a great rapport with each other. As I mentioned, we've not known each other that long. However, I just feel so deeply connected to you, Joe, and I am so grateful for your generosity and your willingness to share with our debt-free degree community, and just for the way that you bring love into the world. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, Elizabeth. I think you're doing a wonderful job. Keep at it. Don't let naysayers get in your way, as with anybody that's listening. I've always heard an old expression from a dear friend of mine: if you can hear it, if it comes to you and you can hear it, do it. So if the idea popped into your head and you heard it, absolutely go for it. And if the idea comes to you to sponsor a child's books or whatever he came to you and asked you, maybe sheepishly, that I don't know, but I need a motorcycle to be, then cough it up, because it might be the best thing you ever did.
Yes.
So with that, I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks, everybody. And we appreciate y'all joining. And we'll be back next time with Pontification with a Pro. Appreciate y'all. Bye-bye.